Well, I'll get into all that, but I think I'd like to start with just acknowledging this community, both in this room and on Zoom. One of the things that I learned after decades of facing undergraduate students, mostly taking required classes, coming in the first day, thinking, what's this going to be? Who am I in this environment? Is this for me? Is this going to be interesting? Is this going to be boring? Is this going to be useful? And who else is here? Do they feel alone? The person next to them, have they ever talked to them before? Maybe at a party. Probably not in another class. And one thing I learned was that probably the most important thing that I could do, besides knowing something about my topic, was to create community and to give them a community, the feeling of community. The feeling of community is a contagion. Contagion means there's an emotion that pervades and spreads. And once people feel community, they feel psychologically safe. They feel like they can relax. They feel like they can be themselves. They feel open to connect. They feel open to take small risks. They're emotionally available. I mean, everybody has a facade, right? But they let down some of the facade, and they are willing to be vulnerable with each other a little bit. They test the waters on them. And then once they feel that vulnerability come back from somebody else, somebody shares a story, somebody shares a doubt, somebody speaks from the heart. As soon as they experience that, then they feel invited to do that too. And then instead of that feeling foolish to do in a public setting, it starts to feel foolish to not do it, because it's so obviously good and it's so obviously what everybody wants, but it's something that we, for whatever reason, don't get to do in a lot of the spaces that we're in. And then also, this is a community here, and I feel grateful to be invited into your community, this safe space that you created. You can tell when you're in a community, because when you walk in the door, people give you a little smile, like, we're glad you're here. We know you, or we want to get to know you. And you kind of feel that, right? And it goes the other way too. Somebody walks in the door and you're glad they're there. You know, you actually feel that. You're not just being like, I'm not trying to be a nice person, and you're not just like under this behavior, and you're not just like, you know, doing the right thing. You actually feel it, like, oh, there's somebody in my community, or somebody who might join the community. And I'm glad they're there. So that feeling that's a contagion that spreads. And then that's what keeps you coming back, right? You wake up, maybe you feel lazy or you didn't get a good night's sleep, but you go anyway, you know, because you want that feeling. So this is a song that I wrote about community and how much I appreciate it. And I especially appreciate the people who make community for others. You know, Michael was showing me this rig that he figured out for how to, like, you know, connect all you folks on Zoom. And wow, there was a lot of hours and a lot of sweat put into that, you know, and probably not just by him too, but people who helped him. So, you know, the people that, you know, preparing a talk, like we just heard, or convening a session, that's all people making community happen. So this is called the Community Waltz. In a world so uncertain, there's a place we can rest. We know when we find it, we don't have to guess. And our loneliness heals when we know that it's real. The people that hold us and bring out our best. When did you get to be like family to me? Well, I don't remember. Oh, I can't recall. But the roots we share and the way we all care, well, it helps us together each time that we fall. And there's a light in your eyes, in your joys and your pride, and friendship speaks silently and welcomes us in. And when we walk through that door and we feel it once more, and I thank you for letting this soul find a home. And our connection flows deep, and it's something I keep near to my heart, never apart. And how lucky I am to be part of this clan, with hands that can hold us in music and art. Community. Our Beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's the most recent song I've written. Okay, so I mentioned that taught college for a long time. I've been around a long time. And I remember back when I first started, before when I was in college, I remember thinking, wow, I'm going to have to work for the rest of my life. What if I don't like it? What's going to happen then? How am I going to find something to do that I actually like doing? And I knew how to get good grades. I figured that out. In fact, I could get a good grade on a course that wasn't even interesting to me. You know, I just kind of learned how to produce, how to crank it out, how to discipline myself. But I thought, wow, I don't want life to feel like that. It might come to that. It's good. I know that. It's very useful. It's important. But what if life feels like that? How do I find a life that has a heart to it? How do I find a life that has some spirit to it? How do I get up every day and want to do the thing that I want to do? And there's all those, so many distractions in the air. This is the right job. You know, my father was an accountant. I thought, wow, I could be an accountant. And he loved it. They said, oh, you should be a doctor like your brother. Well, you know, I was a little scared of blood and I wasn't big on science, and my brother was brilliant, and I was a little, and so that wasn't going to work. And I remember I had to dissect a frog in high school, and I let it out the window. I got in trouble for that. So that wasn't going to work. I could be a lawyer like my uncle, but you know, I'm not really that aggressive, or I'm not a great debater. Anyway, I learned it, and I learned to kind of pay attention to that. And then I dealt with thousands of students. I just stopped teaching last week, actually. I just had my last semester at Muhlenberg College. So I've dealt with thousands of students all in that same place. Like what? Where do I, you know, I want to be successful. I want to have a good life. I want to be a citizen. Where do I go? What's in my heart? And so many distractions. You know, I want to please my parents, you know, so-and-so already got a job. Oh my God, I'm gonna get behind. How do I get an internship? You know, looking for that. So, and then when I got in my Ph.D. program in organizational behavior, I decided to study that. So I studied task engagement. How do we approach work, and what are the different mental states we bring to what we're doing? You know, I noticed that some work was really joyful, and there was no difference between work and play. And then other work was just drudgery, you know. And so what's the deal there? Like what's actually going on? And then in managing people, how do you manage in such a way that lets people find the joy? Because when you have a whole department or a whole group or a whole organization where everybody's on fire, it's just amazing. When you have a whole organization where everybody's in fear and everybody's protecting themselves and everybody's scared and everybody is trying not to make a mistake, it's just awful, right? So I decided to study them. So I think in the next song, I'd like to tackle one of the issues in finding joy is the fact that we're all aging, right? We're all aging. I don't care how old you are, you're aging. No matter what age you are, you're older than you were yesterday. And we're all going to die someday, right? Well, maybe we believe in eternal life, but that's part of life. From the moment you're an infant, you're dealing with the fact that there is a clock and it is ticking. And and then also society has this kind of youth obsession, right? Like everybody wants to be young, you know, or celebrities are getting facelifts and cosmetic work to try to look younger. And so, you know, society has this youth fetish. And so as we're aging, you know, how do we hold that, and how do we feel joy in our bodies, right? Our bodies as they are. So this is a song that I call The In-Between. And the in-between is that period between being young and being dead. So it's called The In-Between. My body's been around, and sometimes I feel my age. Depending on the day, apple or a cage. But I am not antique, I won't turn that page. So much I've seen, I am not young, I am not dead. I'm in between. There's 13 moles upon my arm, there's scratches everywhere, and there's gray all speckled with the black. I've lost a lot of hair. They grow where they're not supposed to, I wonder why they're there. But still, this joy is mine. Getting old, it's not for the faint of heart. And the years have come and gone, but this still feels like the start, where science fails. I'll have to rely on Earth. My body has no answer for what is in the magazines. I am not young, I am not dead, I'm in between. Yes, I feel joy in the loves of my life. I feel joy in my beautiful wife, my friends, my family, my students, my community, my life. So much I've seen, I am not young, I am not dead. I'm in between. 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 Oh, yes. In between. Okay. So, we're asking the question, what brings us joy and how do we hold what's happening in the world in a way that isn't sticking our head in the sand and allowing problems to continue, but also isn't living and breathing toxic air. And so where we still can enjoy this miracle of being alive and have love in our lives and enjoy connection. How do we build the resilience to hold it all and to find a way to also be good citizens and to be part of the solution rather than the problem. So this next song is about our challenge right now. Big challenge. And talking to a lot of young people, which I've done over the years, some of them feel the world deeply. Others are in what we used to call it at Muhlenberg, the Muhlen bubble. Muhlen bubble was the world doesn't exist outside of the happy place. But others deeply feel the world and want to be part of the solution. We've all experienced, sticking your head in the sand doesn't really work either, right? Same time, we want a place for joy. You ever been at a party where everybody's having a great time and then somebody brings up politics? And before you know it, it's just like there's a pall in the room. That's another kind of contagion. We talked about positive contagion, but at the same time, we need to talk about issues, right? So how do we do that? It's called Find Our Way Back Home. Oh, we've lost our way. We feel it today. The world's upside down. But can we find our way back home? Find our way back home. It's not something we can buy. We can't get there with a lie. And rage doesn't know how to find its way back home. Find a way back home. We can't tell our facts from opinions or prepare for tomorrow today. And our world's getting hotter and hotter. Can we think of our children? Can we still find our way? And the soul looks to art, a road to the heart, a melody true, a song to find our way back home, find our way back home. Find our way, find our way, find our way back home. Find our way, find our way, find our way back home. We use anxiety for practice, and it tells us when things might be wrong. Identities try to protect us, but they keep us from seeing that we all belong. And when we hear each other's voice, we make a better choice, and the path becomes clear that we can find our way back home, find our way back home. Find our way, find our way, find our way back home. Find our way, find our way, find our way back home. And home is the place we are seeking, planting the seeds that we sow, and respect can take root in that garden, and with kindness and truth together we grow. Inside me and you, we know what is true. We know where to go, and we can find our back home. Find our way back home. Oh, find our way, find our way, find our way back home. We're gonna find our way, oh, find our way, find our way back home. So where do we look? Where do we look to find our way back home? And how do we find that path with the heart? How do we find that livelihood that feels meaningful? How do we find how do we connect to our higher selves? And how do we focus with so many distractions? I'm going to turn once again to Rumi from the 13th century. His words were originally written in Farsi, or Persian. And this was translated by Coleman Barks and a few other authors. I put this song together from a few different Rumi poems, and it's called One Whole Heart. How do we find that commitment to something where we can devote ourselves? What's worth our attention? What's worth our precious, this one precious life that we have? For my mother was raising kids. She raised my brother and sister and I like a mama bear. I remember once I was complaining about a teacher in elementary school. Maybe he deserved it, maybe he didn't, but later on I found out she went to that school and she gave that teacher hell. Probably would have horrified me at the time if I had known about it, but I so appreciate it now. Somebody was willing to fight for me. So what's worth fighting? I remember when I had to choose between two academic jobs, one at a research school and one at a teaching school. It was so hard to decide. The research school paid more money, it was higher prestige. You know, it was sort of a no-brainer, but I love teaching. I love the students. I faked my way into getting a job offer, but I ended up choosing the teaching school. So, when have you made that choice to choose with your heart? This is called One Whole Heart. 1,000 half-loves must be forsaken to take one whole heart home. So let the lover be disgraceful, crazy, absent-minded, to take one whole heart home. Suppose you are the trouble, but you are the cure. Suppose you are the lock on the door, but you are the forsaken. Take one whole heart, home. One whole heart home. Walking, there is no one place to get to. Just move within, but don't move the way that fear makes you move in 1,000 half-loves. Must be forsaken. Take one whole heart home. It's too bad you want to be somebody else. You don't see your own face, your own beauty. No face is more beautiful than yours in 1,000 half-loves. Must be forsaken. Take one real true. Oh, one. Oh, heart. One whole heart. Oh, take one whole heart.
Any questions or comments? Or does his work speak for itself? And here, I'll do that again.
I just want to power. I just wanted to thank you. It was just so beautiful. Your songs are inspiring. So, what do you do when you write a song? Do you get like in a meditative state, or do they just pop into your head as you're driving down the road, or where did your inspiration come from?
Good question. It's not always the same. I would say my daily practice is that there's a certain room that's decorated in a really uplifting way. And I just sit with a guitar and I just play and I see what pops out. And then eventually at first maybe I'm just like listening to the, beauty of the instrument. And I just hear the tones. And that's moving for a while. And then after a while, maybe my heart gets engaged and something, I find myself drawn to something. And then I keep a little recorder near me and I get snippets of ideas. And then sometimes I'll start singing, maybe not the actual lyrics, but often it does turn out to be that. And then I do journal writing and I kind of bring things together. So yeah, so I spent most of my music career being writing my own songs. And then I got into Rumi poetry about maybe 25 years ago. And at the time, it was kind of funny how it happened. I have a lot of poet friends, and my wife is a poet, Lisa Dewana. She was poet laureate of our county last year. So they're always introducing me to poetry. But I decided I needed to work out. I needed to exercise more. So of course I thought, instead of exercising, I thought, let's make some music that I can exercise to. So I started working on this kind of, energetic music, and was originally going to be instrumental music with me chanting. And then I started chanting Rumi lyrics. And all of a sudden the music just kind of took off. And then that became the whole thing. And eventually I got around to working